Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. Appreciate it. Please click to subscribe. You guys don't normally see me all dressed up like this. I'm barely ever dressed up like this. I don't feel like myself, but I'm in New York City right now at the News Nation headquarters. I actually just filled in for Chris Cuomo. I come here sometimes when the anchors are off on vacation, like Chris or Ashley Banfield or Elizabeth Vargas. I will fill in anchor on their shows. So that's what I'm doing here right now. I'm not that much of a city guy, but it's cool to come here once in a while. I also feel funny like wearing a suit because normally you guys know I'm out on the streets and all over the country and stuff. But I wanted to update you guys because just now when I anchored, I had a man named Judge Patrick Dugan on the show, and he is running for district attorney in Philadelphia against the current district attorney, Larry Krasner. And what's so interesting is the judge, he stopped being a judge, obviously, to run for DA, but he said that if he wins the election, he would look into the Ellen Greenberg case. Ellen Greenberg, of course, is the young teacher in Philadelphia. I've done a ton of stories on. You can go back and look at my other episodes, who was stabbed more than 20 times, stabbed in the front, stabbed in the back. Initially, it was ruled a homicide, then it was changed to suicide. Then the original medical examiner said that he no longer thought it was a suicide, and now a new medical examiner has ruled it a suicide again. So a lot of it just hasn't made a lot of sense, and the family really hasn't gotten anyone in Pennsylvania to really take the case seriously. And what I thought was so interesting is now this candidate running for DA, again, Judge Patrick Dugan, says that he would officially look into the Ellen Greenberg case. So I want to play my interview with him and then also Ellen Greenberg's parents' reaction to this pretty big news. It would be pretty significant if he wins and he actually did this. Something else I'm interested in Philadelphia, as you know, is the Ellen Greenberg case, which we've covered extensively here. Chris has covered it. We've covered it on News Nation. The young woman from Philly, teacher, stabbed more than 20 times. There's her picture there. Stabbed in the back, stabbed in the spinal cord. First called a homicide, then changed to suicide. Then you had the medical examiner say, well, I don't really know that it's suicide anymore. Now a new medical examiner says it's suicide, and a lot of people believe there's been no justice for Ellen Greenberg. What are your thoughts on that? Is there anything you could do as DA on that front, Judge?
So if I can win and become the next district attorney in the city of Philadelphia, what I can promise that I will do, because there's obvious issues in this case. It was looked at by the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. It was looked by the Attorney General. It was looked at by the Chester County District Attorney's Office as well. There are still a ton of questions. We've all seen a documentary. We've seen people that are saying, what the heck is going on here? Well, I've spoken to some seasoned homicide prosecutors and detectives, a couple of them who actually saw some of the file. And based off of all that, if I win, I am going to sit down with seasoned attorneys, prosecutors, homicide prosecutors, and detectives and do a thorough review and then make my determination on whether or not this case should go ahead and move forward. But I must do due diligence and read the entire file with the team, and then I would make a decision on that. Okay. Because there are some obvious mistakes were made in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But for Ellen and her parents, this needs to be looked at again with some fresh eyes.
Yeah, it's obvious there were mistakes. I want to bring in Ellen Greenberg's parents now. They're also going to join us live. Sandy and Josh Greenberg, they've been listening to the conversation. Sandy, I want to ask you your reaction to Judge Dugan saying if he's elected, he would take a look at the case and then decide whether to reinvestigate. I mean, that's not something that I've heard from very many people in Philly.
Music to our ears. From his mouth to God's ears. Larry Krasner was our personal attorney. And then when he ran for office, he had a conflict of interest. But what he's not telling everyone is he had more than a conflict of interest because he never returned our personal file that he withheld. And he did a lot of other very disingenuous, unprofessional, unethical things.
Josh, is there anything, because we've still got Judge Dugan here, is there anything you want to ask him? I mean, anything you want to say to him, considering He's running in the elections in a week or so, a little over a
Well,
week.
it's hard to say. My knowledge of the case is probably more extensive than his, or maybe it's not. I don't know. I do appreciate his saying the words he does and offering his help if he's elected. But the Ellen's case, I mean, if you look at even this last medical examiner, it's so bogus. She talks about anxiety as a cause of death. Ellen was anxious. Her psychiatrist said she's anxious. This medical examiner never even spoke to her psychiatrist. But anxiety doesn't lead to suicide. So the whole thing from the top down, the first expert, Cyril Wecht. Now that name should ring a lot of bells among the people who really know what's going on in this world in medical legal. Cyril Wecht was a professional pathologist and was investigator in these type of things. And he said right away, women don't kill themselves anymore using knives. So Ellen's case from that is bogus. And then if you look at the wounds on the rendering we have, that we computer generated, nothing there is deep enough to cause death. The only wounds are the head, right? See, look how superficial those knife wounds are.
Yeah.
They almost don't penetrate. The back of the neck, the head, and the chest.
And
Yeah.
she did have defensive wounds, unlike what Dr. Simon.
And Sandy, to me, that diagram we're looking at right there has always told the story. I mean, you see that and you realize, how could someone do that to themselves? We only have a few seconds left, Judge. Quickly to you. I mean, if you don't win, do you think the feds could get involved, Judge? Because it seems like that's the only other, option at this point.
You would hope somebody would, because there are so many obvious questions and details in here that really have to be turned over, because a lot of it just doesn't make sense. But I also agree with Sandy about the ethics of Larry Krasner. He constantly gets fined for ethics violations. Judges call him out. Judges have called Larry Krasner a liar at the Supreme Court level, at the state level, at the municipal court level, in federal court. So this man has virtually zero ethics. So I'm not surprised that he did this on a case like that, Sandy, Josh. And my heart goes out to you. And whether I win or not, I would still like to try to be an advocate and sit down and talk to you further about this. But I have to tell you, I have not reviewed the file. But if I win, I will. And if I don't, I would also like to get involved with trying to look at it for you and, see what I could do to help you.
Judge Patrick Dugan,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, sorry we don't have more time. Josh and Sandy, it's always nice to see you. I'll talk with you soon. Thank you all for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Good night. And my heart goes out to Josh and Sandy.
Yeah, they're the best.
Thank you.
They're fighters. They never stop fighting. So that was Ellen Greenberg's parents and also Judge Patrick Dugan on News Nation when I was anchoring. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out. And really, the only option left, I think, is if that doesn't happen, is if the feds get involved. Could the feds possibly investigate the Ellen Greenberg case? Is that really the only option that is left? So anyway, hope you guys have a good weekend. I'm going to head back to Florida, and I'll be back on the road next week investigating some other stories. And I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.